Welcome, travelers, to another episode of the Time Travel Trio podcast. I'm Jen.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Hyde.
And we're
The Time Travel Trio.
Welcome to our mini episode. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, happy holidays.
Yes.
It was just Christmas after when this is released. Christmas was a couple days ago, so hope everyone had a nice time, and happy Hanukkah, and happy Kwanzaa.
Ramadan.
Ramadan, sure.
Winter solstice.
Every holiday.
Every holiday.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Winter time.
Winter time is here.
Although it's still like 80 degrees in LA.
Yep. There's no winter here.
Eat it, East Coast.
Yeah, that's right. No snow over here. Okay, so today we're going to do a mini episode talking about time loop movies. Ooh, so if you're not sure what a time loop movie is, I'm pretty sure everyone in the world has seen the movie Groundhog Day. It's basically that concept that a bunch of other movies stole.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Like relive the same thing over and over again, and
usually it's one day that they repeat over and over again. We each watch 2 different movies, so 6 in total that we'll be discussing. So we kind of tried to pick a wide variety of types of films and genres of films, and to kind of compare and say, hey, you can kind of do this concept in literally any genre. So that'll be fun to kind of discuss and compare. And I think, Hyde, do you want to start with your first one?
Yeah, sure. I reviewed the new movie, Happy Death Day.
Ooh.
Directed by Christopher Landon, written by Scott Lobdell, and starring Jessica Rose, Israel Brossard, and Ruby Modine.
Sure.
It's kind of a like MTV style film. It's from the same producers who did Get Out, one of my favorite movies of 2017.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the similar concept in terms of market strategy, very low budget.
Mm-hmm.
They get a pretty good story, and then they just go from there. This movie was like #1 at the box office one week, and it was only made for like about $3-4 million, and made like over $20 million. So
That's
it was
cool.
a successful film.
Yeah, it came out in October of 2017. So.
Right, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah.
Friday the 13th. So yeah, I reviewed this film, and it was a little. How do I describe it? It's
I know it's hard because we didn't all watch all of these movies just for timing's sake. But I did want to see this movie, so I'm interested.
Yeah, we will after this at some point, but we haven't.
And I won't go spoiler heavy on this because I know it's a new movie and a lot of people may not have seen it.
Yeah, but you also have to kind of explain the why and kind of how they used it.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically there's this girl at school, and she's kind of a jerk. The movie opens up. Actually, she's more than kind of. She is a jerk.
Okay.
She's rude to people, but she wakes up in this guy's dorm room after like a night of partying. She was drunk, and then he's this nice guy. He keeps saying like, oh, blah, blah, and he's like trying to help her out, but she's kind of rude to him, and then she's rude to all these other people because she's just hungover and embarrassed because this guy's like, who is this guy? She's in a big sorority, and this guy's some kind of like, not a dweeb, but he's kind of dorky.
Yeah.
And so she goes back to her apartment, meets up with her roommate, and her roommate surprises her with a cupcake that's for her birthday, and it's like, oh, make a wish, and she makes a wish, but then throws away the cupcake. Like, that's the kind of person she is. She's like, too many carbs. But she's like, but I baked that. That was my impression of that scene.
Sure, that sounds
spot on.
about right.
And so later that night, as she's on her way to a party, she gets killed, stabbed by this masked assailant. And then she wakes up back in the dorm. And of course, at first, she thinks maybe she just had a weird dream. But as it starts happening over and over again, she realizes, I'm reliving the same day. And, now obviously not a lot of people believe her. And though the guy she wakes up with does believe her to a certain degree, and he helps her, like, figure out how to, like, basically use getting murdered, luring her killer to murder her to find out who it could not be. So that sets up a pretty interesting plot.
So, like, eliminate suspects?
Right, eliminate suspects by, like, if you get killed while you're close to that person and you can see that person clearly couldn't have been there when they killed you, then you're like, There's a wrinkle in this plan, though, however, because every time she wakes up, she's a little bit weaker. And
That's cool.
Which I liked. I thought that was cool because
I think that's unique to that movie.
It is. You don't know the set number, but at one point she does have like a CAT scan or an X-ray, and she sees that she has like like healed internal wounds, but like from the stab wounds and like being run over.
Okay,
and stuff.
So that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, does her body go like revert back to the state it was in when she woke up?
Kind of. It never gets too specific with like how bad the damage is. But for instance,
there's like residual damage.
Okay.
Exactly. Like if she like breaks her neck, she wakes up and she has a sore neck.
Sure.
When she gets stabbed, she wakes up, she gets an X-ray, and it looks like she had like an old wound. But eventually the idea is that like if she keeps getting killed, eventually it's just gonna stick and she's gonna die for good.
That's cool. So it kind of ups the stakes instead of just like
you're forever
a lot of these are kind of just, I'm tired of living this same day over and over again, so I want to find a way out of it. But that is more interesting because it's really like, if you don't find out why you're repeating this day or who's killing you, then you're gonna die anyway.
Right.
And so I imagine the end she probably figures it out and doesn't die.
I mean,
yeah. I've seen a movie before, so.
But yeah, of course, so the only way she can break the loop is by killing the person who kills her and not die. So she has to not only defeat the person who's been killing her, but she cannot die.
That's cool.
Before the day is over.
Yeah.
The time when she lives, I guess, on the last day, she kills the person who killed her, and then she continues the day because she survived?
Right. So she just basically has to fall asleep and wake up not dead.
Okay.
That's cool.
So
I like that.
It is interesting, and it's pretty well acted.
Okay.
Like I said, it's kind of like that MTV movie kind of strain where there's a lot of hit songs in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the end credits music is "High" by Sir Sly, which if that gives you an idea of like how poppy and trendy the movie is with its music and kind of like little slang.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Does it imply that she lived like countless number of days, or is it a countable number of...
There's a countable number of days, because they do a good job of saying, like, every day she comes back, she's getting weaker and weaker. And at one point, they do kind of suggest that, like, how long she would be able to live is maybe, like about a month, and then she would be just like, there's no way.
So it's like a few weeks
or so. And there's even, like, a countdown. Like, at one point, like, she finds something that says, like, 48. So it's like wondering, like, does she have 48 times to do this, and then she'll die?
Okay.
It's interesting.
Cool.
But let's play the trailer.
Okay.
And you guys tell me what you think.
Okay.
Oh, hey, you're up.
Am I in a dorm room?
Yeah, I folded your pants for you.
Great.
Dude, did you hear that or what?
It's your birthday.
Stop global warming.
Party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip Bacardi like it's your
You
birthday.
sneaky little biatch. Maybe you should switch to water next time. Super helpful. Don't be late to the party tonight.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Tree, happy birthday.
You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. Look, mommy, I got the ex again and taking drugs. I'm in the other.
You scared me.
Hey, you're up.
Look, I know this isn't gonna make any sense. Stop global warming? I feel like I'm losing my mind.
You sneaky little biatch. Happy birthday.
I've already lived through this day. Somebody's gonna kill me tonight. So you can hear now.
Is everything okay?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Assuming that I believe any of this is even possible.
Sprinklers. Car alarm.
The way I see it, you have unlimited amount of lives. Unlimited opportunities to solve your own murder.
So I'm supposed to keep dying until I figure out who my killer is?
You want to live to see tomorrow, right? Whoever's killing you knows it's your birthday.
Pretty much the entire school knows.
These are signs of major trauma. You should be dead.
You relive the same day over and over again. Kind of start to see who you really are. I
I really like. I mean, that trailer gives a lot away.
I was going to say, like, the trailer actually gives a lot. I'm glad I did not see the trailer before I saw the movie, because the trailer gives not a ton away, but it gives a lot away.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this when the trailer came out, so I've already seen. Yeah. I already knew that basic.
I think it's cool. I want to see this movie, even like kind of knowing how, in a general sense, how it'll end. Like, I'm curious who kills her, honestly. So yeah, I'm into it. I'd see it.
There's a lot of interesting twists.
Cool.
I will say I personally figured it out about a third in.
Okay.
But with that, I want to add a caveat that there was a big twist that comes at the end that I did not see coming.
Okay.
So, a little give and take on that. Like, like they're like, oh yeah, you kind of know, but you're wrong about the way you know. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Okay. Cool.
Side note, minor note, one thing that I should say, because at first I was like, well, why are they building up this guy to be nice? Like, I mean, she clearly, like, got drunk and, like, he took her back to the place and they had sex and, like, that's how she wakes up. And, like, that's kind of messed up. He does, you do eventually find out from him that he did not have sex with her. He, like, took her home because she, like, wanted to come home with him, but she was drunk, so he just let her sleep. And so, like, he's not someone who had sex with, like, because I remember there's some YouTube comments like, so he just sleeps with a drunk girl? I'm like, no, he doesn't. The movie makes a very good point of saying he never touches her other than putting her in bed.
That's nice. It's like, it seems like there's more to this than just, like, I feel like a lot of horror movies are just like, how many times can you stab someone? How many jump scares can you have? And so something like this is the type of horror movie that I actually am willing to watch.
No cheap jump scares in this movie.
That's nice.
Which I like. They really do try to make it just, like, kind of creepy. It's not trying to, like, gross you out or do, like, disgusting, like, gory stuff.
Okay.
It's really more about just the mystery and the thrill of it, which I appreciated.
So what would you... I guess we should just rate these one by one as we discuss them. So what would you rate the movie and the time travel?
The movie, I'm going to give a solid 7 to.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, it's very enjoyable. It's not a movie I would watch a ton of times. I might watch this one or two more times in my lifetime. But it's, it's not, like, exceptionally made. There's some pretty interesting stuff to do with editing and cinematography. Mm-hmm. The acting's decent enough, especially considering the subject material.
Yeah.
And the script's pretty clever in a couple of spots.
Okay.
But, it's 7.
Nice.
It's a nice film. I definitely recommend it for people who are fans of the genre.
Okay.
As for his time travel,
I don't know. Maybe we should just do a general time travel rating at the end, because all this time, this is kind of the point of the episode, is that all the time travel is basically the same.
That's
true.
Yeah.
So let's just hold off on the time travel rating
okay.
for now, and then we'll kind of assess both of our movies individually.
Yeah.
So how about you go next?
Sure. So I did 2017's Naked. It's a Netflix movie starring Marlon Wayans, directed by Michael Tids or Titus, written by
Titties.
I guess if you want. Writers Rick Alvarez, Martin Knudsen. I guess he did the original story, but yeah. So it stars Marlon Wayans and it stars Regina Hall, as well as Dennis Haysbert, and also Eliza Coupe. And so, yeah, this movie, it kind of does the deal where he has to relive. It's actually an hour he has to relive before his wedding. And he wakes up naked in an elevator, and he has to kind of get to his wedding. But there's more to it than that. He has to solve his life, kind of. But he also has to figure out who put him in the elevator, because he didn't just wake up there. He was sabotaged and put in there, like, by someone. So he has to figure out who did it and kind of why everything's happening, and he has to kind of become a better person. That's kind of the deal.
Okay, so let's watch the trailer.
Yes.
Hang on, buddy. We're coming. I think we got it. Oh, no, we don't got it.
Excuse me, sir, you're naked.
You're supposed to be at my wedding right now.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I'm just trying not to look at your junk.
This is Benny.
Hey, Rob, where are you, man? People are pissed.
You have to accept the fact that he's not coming.
He will be here.
I managed to get arrested.
For what?
I'm not
a streaker. I'm just trying to get to my wedding.
No. Mom, I need your help. I'm freaking out. I'm butt naked. I'm 20 blocks from the hotel, and I keep repeating the same hour over and over again.
You naked? In public?
I'm wearing a shopping bag.
Well, can you find some other trash that you can make a shirt out of?
Are you drunk?
Show me. Show you what? Our dance routine? Oh, and slide and pose.
You think his old lady gonna like that?
I think she go kick his ass. Where are you? Are you okay?
I'm coming for you.
In what world did she pick you over me? This is what you're bringing to the table?
Now that woman deserves a great wedding. Oh, I'm sorry. It just needs to be taken out in the back.
Oh, I'm gonna take it out in the back.
I need to borrow your suit.
I'm not giving you my suit.
You're gonna give me the damn suit. Knee. Oh, back in. Oh, yeah! Yeah. Devin, just don't.
Yeah, so they kind of showed some of the tropes that they used in this. Obviously, he does things to get better at like fighting and stuff. So he has to kind of learns pieces and pieces. He's only naked really the first like act of the movie, but then he figures out how to get to the church pretty quickly. He has to like take an ambulance because one time he ended up in an ambulance and then it drove right by the church. So every day he steals a bag to get the right clothes that actually fit him, and then he hits his head and then gets an ambulance and then jumps out and then gets to the church. That's kind of that's how he gets to the church a lot. And then so once he gets that figured out, he has to kind of figure out how to do the wedding properly because he didn't write his vows because he's kind of afraid of commitment.
Okay.
And so he's not deserving of his wife, and so he has to kind of
learn a lesson.
Yeah, and also prove to her dad and figure out the white guy that he fights is her ex. And so he has to kind of deal with him and hit all of his bullshit because his dad loves him. Her dad loves his ex. Wait.
Her dad loves her ex.
Yes, exactly. so there's that competition, and then the wife Meg, her best friend is Eliza Coupe, and she dated Rob, the guy, and so there's that kind of tension, and so he has to figure out who put him in the elevator. And he has to kind of figure out how to do the wedding properly. So he does his vows a lot of times, and he actually goes to someone else's wedding to take notes, and he reads a bunch of books. And at some point, the wedding goes through to the end pretty much. And I won't spoil everything, but it's halfway through the movie, and it fails, and they break up. And so he's actually
during the wedding.
Yeah, and so he's heartbroken. So he basically lives days where he's just given up. And so he does things for himself, and he kind of tries to get over it. Okay. But then he learns more about it, the whole situation, and he's like, oh, no, I do want to be with her, and I feel like I can be the man that she needs me to be.
So, do you know how many days he did this?
A lot. It implies that that he's done countless number of days. Okay. Obviously, he mastered fighting. He at the end, the last day, quote unquote, he's doing things that you didn't really see during the movie. There's a marathon going on. He runs next to the African runner. He speaks to him in African, I think not African, quote unquote. Sorry, the language of the runner. He cracks a joke to him and runs past him. And he also makes friends with all the people that are in the area. And so it was funny because Brian McKnight's in this movie. He's not all in the trailer, but he's in the hotel where he wakes up. Brian McKnight being himself, kind of writing songs, and then at the end, of course, he performed at the wedding or at the reception. So
you gotta have Brian McKnight in it.
Yeah, so that's pretty funny.
It's not even a wedding till he shows up.
So do you recommend this because it's streaming on Netflix? If anyone's
I think I would. It's not. I didn't laugh out loud a lot. It's definitely more. It's. I would say it's a romance as much as it is fantasy comedy.
Okay. What would you rate it?
I think overall, I'll probably give it a 6.5 because I didn't laugh a lot, but I like Marlon Wayans. I've watched the Wayanses for my whole life, in Living Color, the Wayans brothers, and so So I always love seeing them do stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do one of mine next. Continue with our 2017 tradition that we all just happened to start with 2017 movies. So I did the 2017 movie Before I Fall, which was a book that I also read. I think a big common theme in all of these movies, maybe not every single one, but pretty much most of them, where it's a time loop, is that the main character is usually not a great person and has to learn how to be a better person through repeating these days. I think that's pretty standard, more or less. So this movie is definitely no exception. The description says February 12th is just another day in Sam's charmed life until it turns out to be her last. Stuck reliving her last day over and over, Sam untangles the mystery around her death and discovers everything she's losing. So it's directed by Rai Russo Young, written by Maria Maganetti, and Lauren Oliver wrote the novel. So Zoe Deutsch is the star in this movie. She's the only one you maybe would recognize. This movie actually is kind of similar to Happy Death Day and some of the things you were talking about, because she also dies at the end of this movie. She's not murdered, but she does. She dies in a car accident after going to a party with her friends, and so she has to kind of not necessarily figure out why. She kind of knows why, but kind of figure out, okay, why is this happening? How can I fix it? What needs to change? So her big thing throughout this movie is like, can I change something? What can change? So that's interesting to see. The book is really good. I definitely recommend reading the book if you're into the young adult genre. It is a little bit of romance, but it's titled as a mystery, but it's more of a drama. She's like a popular kid and she's kind of mean to people and she makes fun of kids and whatever. And then this girl commits suicide by like jumping in front of the car that her and her friends are driving away from after they're drunk at a party. And so then she wakes up and she's trying to figure out, okay, why did that girl try and kill herself? How can I help her? That kind of thing. But she also, there's a little bit of romance and it's interesting. The movie, if you know kind of how it progresses, it's after you see it the first time, it's not that interesting, I guess. It's not necessarily boring, but it's kind of, it gets a little tired. Like, she's like, oh, this popular girl, and she's, whatever, everyone loves her, and blah, 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 and her friends are, like, really mean, and they just, I don't know what it is with, like, teen movies and, like, teenagers drinking excessively at house parties.
They're all mean and stuff.
But that's, like, what this movie is, so let's watch the trailer.
Maybe for you there's a tomorrow. Maybe there's 1,000 or 10. But for some of us, there's only today.
Hey, sexy. Get in. Seriously, so funny. I can't believe high school's almost over. Well, at least we did it right, Kissed the hottest boys, went to the sickest parties.
Sam, big party tonight. My mom's going out of town.
Oh my god. What's she doing here?
Watch this.
This whole high school thing's just a blip.
Mommy says you have to get up.
It's Saturday. Maybe for you there's a tomorrow. What happened last night?
What are you talking about?
Seriously, it's so funny.
Been having deja vu all day long.
This whole high school thing's just a blip.
Watch out for the truck.
What truck? Regardless of anything I do or say, the day starts and ends the same.
My mom's going out of town
Out of town and you're having a party?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Rob?
What?
I'm freaking out.
Are you in trouble? You can trust me.
Mom, do you think I'm a good person?
It doesn't matter what I think. It's important is what you think.
Sociopath. 12 o'clock. Why do we hate Juliet?
Why do you care all of a sudden? Yesterday you said you were afraid she would bite you.
That was a long time ago. That was yesterday.
Juliet, wait!
If I was going to relive the same day over and over, I want it to be a day that would make a difference. But not just for me. I just need to hold on for one more minute.
Nothing that could wake me now.
So I think one thing that's a little bit different about Before I Fall is that her trigger of repeating the day is not dying.
It's time.
It's the time, yeah. Well, no, it's not even the time, actually. It's just, it's kind of fuzzy, but there's a couple days when she doesn't go to the party, she doesn't get in the car, she doesn't die. She like stays. There's one day that she stays up past the time that the quote unquote accident happened, and she's fine, nothing happens, and she like continues. But then I think the trigger is the girl dying, not necessarily her dying. So even when she and her friends don't go to the party, the girl Juliet still like commits suicide and like kills herself.
Right.
But it's not like, okay, as soon as she does it, she like wakes up. It's kind of vague, which I think is like maybe a little bit of like a messy plot thing. Because it's just kind of, her friends wake up in the middle of the night after that happens when they didn't go to the party, and they get texts like, oh my god, Juliet committed suicide, whatever, blah blah blah, and then they kind of talk about it, and then she like falls asleep, and then eventually she wakes up again and is like back repeating the day. So it's kind of fuzzy on that. But she goes through the whole thing of, she has a day where she's like, quote unquote, a bad girl day, I call it, which I think it seemed like from your trailer, like, your main girl had a day like that too.
Yes,
where she just kind of, it's one of those things. It's in Groundhog Day as well, where you just kind of like kill people and like steal stuff and like walk around naked on purpose and like, or whatever it is, and you kind of just don't give a shit.
It's also one of my movies, the next one I do. So
yeah, it's very common in these movies. My Other Day was like that too, or my other movie had that too. But I like some of the things that this movie tells. It kind of grounds this concept a little bit more to be very much a human story of like, this girl, what can she do to try and change these things from happening? And eventually she realizes, okay, it's not necessarily about me, it's about this girl Juliet, and like, she is someone who shouldn't die. She doesn't like, and she's part of the reason why she's like bullied. Like, her and her friends, this girl Sam and her friends, are like really mean. And there's like a thing in the book actually where Sam's friends with this girl Lindsay, who's like the super popular bitchy girl who, like, I'm sure everyone knows someone like that. I know I do in real life. So, and she, in 5th grade, I guess, she and Juliet were friends, and this girl Lindsay wet the bed. And then everyone else on the field trip noticed, but then she blamed Juliet, and that kind of like spiraled her down to like be the one that she picked on. But her friend Lindsay never really learns a lesson. Sam's the one who learns the lesson, which I think is kind of a mistake, honestly, because Lindsay's the one who really is actually mean. Sam just kind of follows along with it. Right. So I think that's something that maybe should have been improved. I mean, I know in the book it's like that, but in the movie, maybe it should have been a little bit more of her at least learning something. Like the quote unquote good day, the day when like she,
figured it out.
Sure, figured it out. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys are ever going to see this movie. I can tell you how it ends, because it's probably not what you think it is. But she actually sacrifices herself and saves Juliet, which is something that I only bring it up because I think it's a little bit unique. Instead of just like stopping Juliet from committing suicide, Juliet runs in front of the car, and then Sam like pushes her out of the way and is the one. So, and that's kind of how the movie ends, which is sad, but it's also uplifting. I personally didn't see why Sam needed to sacrifice herself for that reason. It was something that I think the movie didn't really bring full circle enough. It just kind of ended.
I mean, if the girl's suicidal, would that cure her suicidal tendencies?
That's what I'm wondering. Like, now she'd have all this guilt.
Well, the girl at the end, she's like, Sam, you saved me. And like, Sam's like watching like a ghost like from the side of the road, and it's like, no, you saved me, and the credits roll. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like,
I don't like that line.
But in the book, it kind of implies more that like, almost like a guardian angel sort of a situation.
Right.
Like Juliet maybe was her guardian angel kind of a thing. But I still don't think that Sam should have committed suicide.
Yeah, it kind of sends the wrong message in a movie that's kind of
anti-suicide. Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, it sucks though, because she only has this one day to try and make amends. And like, this girl Juliet, for years, she's been mean to her. So, anyway.
That does kind of sucks. Also, Zoe Deutch looks like Ellen Page and
Yeah.
Jennifer Gardner had a kid.
Yeah.
Her voice kind of annoys me in this movie. It's like weirdly high pitched that doesn't like feel normal. I don't know, it's kind of strange. But I would rate this movie, I think I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10. It's not that bad. And it's, there's some, I guess there's fun moments. I don't even know, but I recommend if you're interested to honestly read the book. I mean, yeah, obviously at this point I kind of gave away the ending, but it's a cool book to kind of repeat the day, and it's kind of a vague number of days. So I was like trying to track it. I was like, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, and then halfway through the movie there's like a montage of her. You kind of see it a little bit in the trailer of her like waking up and standing in different places in her room at the same time, like kind of implying that it's dozens of days maybe, or millions. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's very vague. So I think, 5 out of 10 feels right. There's a lot of like cliche lines like, what you do today matters, and like you kind of hear it in the narration that really drags throughout the movie. They mention the butterfly effect as well, of like, if a butterfly flaps its wings in Peru, it'll create a hurricane in Asia, or whatever.
Right.
They kind of like say something like that. And this girl Sam is like, no, that's whatever. That's not a real thing, whatever. And then like later she does like a narration of like, maybe that is like cause and effect, and like what? And I'm just like, ugh, girl. I don't mind that she dies.
Hashtag
maybe.
basic thoughts.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Nice, Matt.
So Hyde, back to you. What's your second movie?
I chose the 1998 film Run, Lola, Run. It's an independent German film made for under $2 million that also was very successful and became kind of like, if you were a film student in the early 2000s, you probably didn't shut up about this movie. And like, you gotta see it. It's
Even
different.
still, sometimes people like, this is one of those movies. Yeah.
Right.
I've never seen it, so.
It's good. It's good. Like, I have like, it took me a second to rewatch it because I saw it in film school, and film students are like, this movie is so groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. And actually, its script, in my opinion, isn't revolutionary. The direction by Tom Twyker, I don't know how to do Deutsch names.
Tykwer, maybe?
Tykwer, yeah. It stars Franka Botin, Mortitz Bebetrul, and Herbert Knopf. But no, I mean, this movie is a legitimate, like...
Yeah. It's probably like on a scale of all the movies we're doing today, it's like the... Like, quality of it is definitely the best, I think.
Yes, this is definitely the prestige film of all the films we were talking about. It was nominated for BAFTA, I believe, for editing. It's really... It's well done. So, this is kind of unique from the other Groundhog time loop movies.
Okay.
Because it's not 100% necessarily a time loop movie. Mm. So, basically the story is this woman, her boyfriend is a bank robber.
Okay.
He robs a bank because he needs... Well, he's not a bank robber, but he's like kind of like a low-level thief. He doesn't hurt anybody. He's not a violent person.
So far, sounds like Slipstream, but continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, it is kind of like Slipstream, but if Slipstream was good.
Okay, so Slipstream stole from this movie.
Pretty much. Which... That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
So basically, he's like a low-level thief. He's not trying to hurt anybody, but he is going to get killed unless he gets this guy $100,000. It's kind of like his last job he has to do.
Okay.
Give this guy $100,000 and he's out of the crime world forever because he wants to settle down with Lola. So he robs a bank. He gets $100,000. He gets on the subway, but then freaks out because he thinks the police are onto him. So he has to leave the bag. A homeless person takes the bag, and then he calls his girlfriend. She's like, we have 20 minutes to get $100,000. So he's like, I'm going to rob this supermarket. And she's like, that's not going to give you 100. Well, it's not $100,000. It's 100,000 francs. Or marks. Francs.
Zoe Deutsch Marks.
Yeah, Zoe Deutsch Marks. Whatever the German people pay with. Schwiersteins, whatever. Yeah. And so she's like, that's not a good idea. I'm going to get the money back from the homeless person.
Okay.
So then there's 3 runs. The first run is like kind of the worst case scenario. In all of them, she trips over this homeless guy. This homeless guy ends up doing some crazy stuff. Then this woman ends up stealing a baby.
Wow.
Like, someone gets, like, has a heart attack and dies. She finds out from her father that he's not her biological father and that he's leaving her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, like, running away with his mistress. Like, all this terrible stuff happens in the first run. And then she gets shot, and her boyfriend gets shot by the police. So that's it.
Okay.
Then, second run happens.
Does she remember everything?
No. See,
Okay.
that's the thing. She does not remember.
That's cool.
So, second run begins.
Okay.
She goes, they do like a little animated sequence for a second. That one is not as bad, but it still ends with a lot of people dying, and then her dying and her boyfriend getting arrested, I believe. And then the third time, finally everything goes right. The homeless person ends up like becoming a good person and like getting off the streets. The woman who steals the baby ends up devoting her life to God and becoming this like great like person.
So how do these differences present themselves? Does someone just like have a thought, oh yeah, I'll try it this way now, or like, because obviously they don't know that this way is the right way.
See, this is when this movie gets weird and where it gets very European like independent. Mm-hmm. You don't know if she's aware of changes.
Okay.
She does seem to make different choices that are tuned towards it, but the movie never explicitly goes out of the way to say she's reliving the same day.
Yeah, she never predicts anything. She never like knows that's what's going to happen.
Right. There's no tropes of like, oh, now this is going to happen.
That's nice actually, because I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's something I wanted to say too, that a lot of these movies, I know in your Happy Death Day trailer, I don't think it's in my trailer, but in my movie for sure, and I'm sure in Naked definitely, there's those things of like the car alarm going off, or like in my case, like a kid dropping his books, or like, you know, the elevator opening on those, or whatever it is. It's like things that someone tries to use to be like, oh no, that's about to happen, whatever.
Right.
It's in most of these movies.
Yeah, well, yeah. In Naked, he doesn't convince anyone, but he does learn how to fight. And when he's fighting the guy, he calls it out beforehand. He says his words before he does. You know, so like he's like, how are you doing this? But he never he never explains it. But yeah.
Yeah, and even in Before I Fall, I don't think she ever tries to explain it to anyone, because I think even she knows that would be insane. No one would believe her. She kind of is like, I feel like I think she says it to the bad girl in the bathroom, like, do you feel like you're reliving the same day over and over again? And she's like, yeah, that's high school. So it's like, you know, stuff like that. But anyway, continue, yes.
No, it's, I think it's more about the exercise of her doing these different days or these different trials. It only scours like 20 minutes each time.
Okay.
About roughly 20 minutes. So I think more what the movie's trying to do is just saying like how little choices can affect different things.
Yeah.
Because in the end, which is what we are led to believe is the canon ending, everything works out fine. People end up with better lives. She goes into a casino and bets basically everything she has and gets $120,000. Then finds the homeless man who took the $100,000 and gives it to her boyfriend. So the boyfriend gives the crime lord the $100,000 or 100,000 marks that he owes the guy. He's like, all right, you're good. You're free now. And as they're walking back, they're talking, and he asks her, what's that back? Which is all her casino winnings. So they're actually richer than they would have been.
So he gave him the 100,000 marks, and then they also got to keep 120,000
marks. Yeah. Okay. So everything works out fine, and the movie ends on a freeze frame of her, like Slipstream ends on a freeze frame of him talking to like what's in the bag, and her smirking like, I got away with it.
That's cool. So is the trigger her dying? Her getting shot? Is that
it seems that the trigger is her dying.
Repeats it? Okay.
Her dying restarts the run.
Okay. So what would you rate it?
I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's well directed. I think it's well edited. And it's well acted. I think the script is actually a little like, they do all these like flash forwards. And I think it's just a little ridiculous to imagine that like her not bumping into a woman who has a baby carriage somehow prevents her from stealing a kid. Like and then she ends up becoming like a woman devoted to God. Like that's a big step. Like you didn't get minorly inconvenienced, so you're not going to be
changing
like
steal
who
a baby. You are as a human. That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, like some of them make sense. Like she saves like a really nice security guard from like dying of a heart attack, and you know she manages to. Her father still is like a jerk in every timeline, but she like manages to deal with it in different ways.
Okay.
And you know, in one of the timelines, she actually robs her father's bank, and that's why she gets shot.
Okay.
So, but it's it's like the people don't change necessarily, but then sometimes some people like don't change, but then some people have radically different character shifts just because she is like kind of casually nice to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
yeah, it's a stretch.
That's a stretch. That's a real stretch. But it's good.
All right. Matt, back to you.
Alrighty, so no one's seen this movie, I guarantee. It's called The Last Day of Summer. It's a 2007 Nickelodeon TV movie, and it stars Jansen Panettiere, the brother of Hayden. Written and directed by people that probably don't really work in the industry anymore.
Let's find out.
Yeah, I'm just
Blair
curious.
Trew.
Blair Trew. I mean, he does TV stuff.
Oh wow! Did Wish Upon a Star, the well-known Disney Channel movie?
Right.
So
yeah. So all right. Well, he's still doing
some Power
stuff.
Rangers. Power Rangers in space. Sure.
Well, I stand corrected. So it's directed by Blair Trew and written by Kent Pierce. And yeah, it also has Jeanette McCurdy. Otherwise, it's people that I've never heard of before. Mm-hmm. But it does have. If you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of the McPoyle brothers, he's the awkward teacher. It's not the guy. It's not Mary, who's also in Westworld. It's his brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he plays like an awkward teacher that people are, I don't know. He's a good guy. He's just
you
weird.
mean Mary from Psych, who's in Westworld?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but
that
his
guy.
name in Westworld isn't Mary.
I know.
I'm gonna go with Mary as well.
Yeah, the guy who was Mary, he's also in Westworld. Okay. It's not him, but yeah. So
it's not in this movie. Just okay.
Yeah. But the other McPoyle brother is in this movie. Anyway, so this movie pretty much is just Groundhog Day for kids. Okay. It's the last day of summer, and this kid Luke he doesn't want to go to school because he's going to be in 6th grade, and he's scared to be bullied and whatever, and he also doesn't want to play. It's Labor Day, and him and his friends are going to perform in a band, so he's also afraid of doing that. And so basically, he makes a wish that that tomorrow would never come or whatever, that it would be summer forever, and of course it comes true.
Who does he make the wish to?
He just says it out loud.
I wish that the last day of summer never ended.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, he says it to himself.
Okay.
And then and of
powers
course
that be. I've heard him.
No, there really is the powers that be because
well, all these movies are pretty much the powers that
right.
be.
But the mechanic is he wakes up in this tent with his friends. It's a fart joke every day.
Solid.
A lot of fart jokes in this movie. It's for 11-year-olds.
I wish we all did this movie, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I know, but basically, whenever it's the talent show, he's outside in the back, and he always gets hit in the head. At first, it's some guy with a wooden board, and then he ducks it again, and hits him again. The guy turns around, and then he gets hit in the head he falls on a skateboard and trips. And then one time he just stands away from the side, and a rock from the sky falls, like a comet, and hits him in the head. So he figures out, okay, I can't just avoid the hit in the head. Okay. So he then embraces this being stuck in a time loop, and it's everything that Groundhog Day pretty much.
Does he have a bad guy day?
Yeah, the bad guy day is he gets revenge on the bully by he figures out when the bully is going to be in a porta potty. And so he
solid.
And there's also a truck behind him, so he times it well. He puts like a hose or whatever on top of the porta potty and knocks it over, and so the bully Meat gets his name is Meat.
M-E-A-T?
Yeah, well that's his nickname.
Oh my god.
The secret is he figures out his real name, which is Melvin.
Of course.
And
he's good looking.
Well,
okay.
the thing is, so here's my problem with the movie. These kids are 11 years old. And the bullies are 18. They're supposed to be 8th graders, but they're obviously in high school. That bully looks like he's 10 years older than this kid. And so it's awkward because the kids are, obviously awkward kids kind of talking to, boys and girls. So it's kind of weird for a 30-year-old for me to watch it. But also these bullies are 18, it looks like.
And they're well, yeah, this movie came out in 2007. That guy is my age, so he would have been 17.
Yeah, exactly. And he looks that old.
Yeah.
And he's bullying 11-year-olds and also 6-year-olds. He bullies every kid. He steals ice cream from kids. I'm this guy's 18. It looks awkward, but
I love it.
Everyone's hair in this movie is really weird.
Well, it's funny because he also has
Can we watch the trailer?
I don't know. It's a TV movie.
Let's see.
But he has a black friend. He has a Hispanic friend, and
multicultural friend.
Yeah,
the best kind. The best
yes.
Kind.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's
put a trailer.
There's a trailer.
Aren't taught in broken homes like yours, so.
Oh, broken. What are you talking about?
Your parents don't live together.
Oh, yes they do.
Are you sure? Of course you're sure. Hey, I'm just trying to start a dialogue here. To let you know that boring kids like us gives you a false sense of, what's the word? You talking to me? I hardly know this guy, Luke. If that is his real name.
Listen, dog breath. One more word out of you, and I'm gonna send you to tomorrow.
Actually, that's harder than you think. Come on, mate. You're probably a nice kid stuck in a big jerk's body.
So obviously that wasn't a
It's
trailer.
a weird trailer.
No, that was just that's just a clip on YouTube. Anyways,
Okay. Well, still, we got a good feel of it.
Yeah, so basically he kind of figures out information throughout the day, and he has to he has to figure out how to make the day perfect, you know.
Okay.
And so there are little things that I did like about it though, because there are things that are outside of the time loop.
Mm-hmm.
No one else kind of he explains it to a few people. He does a whole thing like, oh yeah, I'm going to predict the day to his sister and stuff like that, and to his friends. He tries to convince them, but they don't believe him. But there's this girl that rides a bike that he sees falls down one time, and he tells her how to ride a bike successfully. And she's like, oh, thank you. I'll never forget this. And he's like, I guarantee you will, because I'll remember, but you won't. And then on the last day, she goes by, and he's done everything right to that point, but he's afraid of it resetting again, and he doesn't want to go through with the performance because he didn't get hit in the head. And the girl comes by, and she's like, hey, just keep going forward like you told me to ride the bike. And he's like, you remember that? And she's like, yeah, of course I do.
So is she reliving the same day too?
No, I think it just stuck in, it's like riding a bike, you know how they say you never forget it? It's that idea, where when she learned it in one loop, and then it stuck in her brain.
Like riding a bike.
That does not make sense.
I know.
No one else remembers any conversations.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously, it makes it inconsistent, but it's a little thing like that you don't really see in these movies, where it's something stuck one of those times.
Yeah.
So certain things, if you do it, it doesn't just all erase.
Yeah.
Certain things will stick.
I know, but it also it gave him the motivation to actually do the show properly and actually playing the band and that thing. But there's another thing. There's another thing outside the time loop. There are these chipmunks. These literally sock puppet chipmunks. They look pretty cheap, and they're really just for dumb kid comic relief. And they're outside the whole time loop, the whole thing, because during the fart joke in the morning, one's outside of the tent and it gets knocked out, and then the next time they see the fart joke, he brings another one to get knocked out, and eventually they have gas masks on, and they're like, ha ha,
so
that
is
fart.
it kind of like in Muppet Christmas Carol, how they're kind of how they kind of break
Yeah.
the wall a little
Yeah,
bit and comment on what's going on?
They for sure, they don't talk, but yeah, they for sure are that kind of idea.
Okay.
But then on the last day, when he does it all right, they're on top of the rafters, and the other one knocks one over, and it hits him in the head again. And he wakes up, and he's he's in his bed finally, and it's wait, it's tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, you guys rocked it last night, and you're home from school today because you got hit in the head by the chipmunk. And so that was kind of him breaking the loop. But
how many days did he repeat?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Wow.
Yeah. Because there's a montage where he's trying to get better at skateboarding because this the cool guy Snake, he wants to impress him. On the bad day, he wanted to impress him and get into his friend group. Unfortunately, that alienates his friends.
Okay.
But he has to skateboard hundreds of times to master skateboarding. And so we see the calendar flip dozens of times, and he says to his sister, I've lived the day 100 times or whatever.
Okay.
So
what would you rate it?
A 3. I don't want to ever see this movie ever again, and it's it's a lot of dumb jokes, and it's for kids, and I'm a 30-year-old, so
okay, cool. All right,
so 30-year-old named Meat.
Yeah.
All right, so for the last one is my second movie, which is called 12 Dates of Christmas for 2011. It's an ABC Family, which is now Freeform.
Which is now, who knows what it is after
called?
Disney
I don't know.
Bought Fox.
Yeah, it used to be Fox Family way back in the day.
They're just slowly taking over.
But it's a TV movie. It's a Christmas holiday romance movie, which is one of my guilty pleasures. I love all of those movies. And so this one, as you can imagine, she relives her day 12 times. It's very specific. I even marked each one, and it is 12. And this movie stars Amy Smart and Mark Paul Gosselaar. So, Amy Smart is her second movie. We also saw her in Butterfly Effect, right?
That's right.
So that was kind of cool.
2 time travel movies.
Yeah. So she's the one who, it's Christmas Eve and she repeats it over and over again. She has this blind date and whatever. She's, again, the same trope. She's not a very nice person. She's kind of selfish and doesn't really, she kind of is trying to get back with her ex-boyfriend, who then she finds out is about to propose to his new girlfriend, and so she has to kind of deal with the emotions of getting over that. And then she also, while this is going on, gets to know this guy a little bit. The weird thing is, so like her dad, we see her dad and her dad's new wife. I don't remember if they're married, but and this guy is like her godson. So like her dad's new wife's godson, and it's this weird. It's kind of
It's like
weird.
Faux,
It's not no. It's not a creepy thing. It's not like that. But godson, not son. So they're not related by blood at all.
Yeah, I mean, I know how that works. I'm just like,
but
it's family-ish kind of thing. That's why I said faux.
No, the weird part of it though is that he's like weirdly very close with them and like talks to, I don't remember what the stepmom's name is, but talks to the stepmom like all the time about Amy Smart's character, whose name is Kate. And so he like knows all these things like, well, if her name is Susan or whatever it is, well, Susan tells me that you like this. Susan tells me that you're like this. And at the very last one, it's like, yeah, Susan told me that you're afraid. And so he's like kind of surprised, and she's like, wow, Susan knows more about me than I knew. And she like doesn't like Susan. It's a whole thing. But
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. But
it's a whole thing.
She like learns to like her. It's, you know, she learns her lessons and she becomes a better person, and she like helps the people. So she like, the nice thing I liked about it though was that she got to know these strangers who crossed her path each time that she lived her day. So when she wakes up, there's a guy who's standing over her, and she gets to know him, and then he and her neighbor end up getting together. It's a whole thing, and he like helps this guy who's trying to propose to his girlfriend, and she really gets to know her community more, and she kind of like branches out and, you know, kind of talks to people who she wouldn't normally talk to, which I like. And so at the end, they all kind of come together, and she's like, she finds a way to, you know, talk to them, because it's only one day, and then it kind of resets. But it's very specific. So
she doesn't reset the day by dying, I'm guessing.
No, she doesn't. No, there's actually no dying in this movie at all.
The Christmas tree fell on top of her.
Yeah. Every day at midnight. It's very specific, which is the thing I actually really liked about this movie, is that the rules are really precise that they use, and they're very clean. And I really appreciate that. And so every day at midnight, it reverts back. So the trigger originally started when she was accidentally sprayed at a perfume counter when she's shopping, and there's like singing and whatever, and she like falls down, I guess hits her head maybe, I don't know, she kind of just passes out, and then she wakes up each time from that passing out. And so I wanted to play this quick clip. As I mentioned, the rules are really clean, but in one of the days she goes to a doctor to try and like get meds maybe or help or something.
Kate, you were just here 4 months ago. What seems to be the problem?
I think I have a brain tumor.
I see, and why is that?
Because I keep reliving the same day over and over.
Well,
it's not a dream.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I keep reliving Christmas Eve. This Christmas Eve, it's like a skipping record. I just am in bed, I'm watching TV, then all of a sudden midnight comes around, and then whoosh, I'm back in the cosmetic department. I wake up, and this old man is looking at me.
Kate, here's the thing. I don't think you have a brain tumor. I think what's happening is you're experiencing some very typical holiday anxiety.
It's not typical holiday anything.
Okay. Your subconscious is trying to tell you that something has to change. And if you don't change it, then it's like living the same day over and over. Are you the type of person who makes a plan and then sticks with it?
No.
Well, if you were that type of person, you might feel anxious if things were changing around you. What is the one thing in your life you wish you could change?
Get Jack back.
I would seriously analyze that word back. Back isn't change.
First of all knowing doctor who knows exactly what's going on. I wanted to play that clip though because I think it kind of applies to pretty much to all of our movies. I'd say in a general sense.
Yeah, it is actually the subtext of almost every single film.
It's very specific way to kind of explain what's going on in so many words.
You think you know what you want.
I like that
you don't learn a lesson.
I like that she went to a doctor, though. That's something that we don't always see in these movies, of, like, people just try and deal with it themselves. And she does deal with it herself. But, you know, I kind of respect that she wanted to ask someone, like, she thought she was crazy, which is a logical response. So
I'm sorry.
So is there magic going on, like, or is it just like
it's Christmas magic, I guess.
Okay. Most powerful of all magics.
It's the powers that be that are kind of.
There's no like Santa that like winks at her, like,
No,
I know what's happening.
Santa anywhere in this movie. No, it's on the final day. She kind of, she does everything right. She helps all these people that she's run into. She's nice, and like connects with this guy, and she's like nice to her stepmom and all this kind of thing. And then on the 12th day, she's, I guess, learned her lesson. She doesn't try and get back with her ex that she was talking about in that clip. She's, like, made peace with it. And so it's kind of, it really is, like, her making peace with who she is as a person and not trying to get back together with her ex, who was no good for her in the first place. So, like, she and her ex at the end have this conversation of, like, what went wrong? Like, talk to me, tell me what's happening so I can understand. So she really doesn't suffer that much. Though I was just thinking about, she probably doesn't sleep much because at midnight she like wakes up again, so she doesn't actually ever get a full night's sleep for like 12 days.
Yeah, that
she
would
gets like a couple hours.
make you a little neurotic.
That would be rough. But yeah, it's, if you like these Christmas romance movies, I recommend this one. It's cute. After you've seen it once or twice, though, it kind of loses a bit of its charm just because nothing's really a surprise anymore. There's a lot of like bits each day, so it's like the song 12 Days of Christmas, obviously. So you kind of see there's the guy coaches a hockey team called the Lords, and then there's on the 10th day she like sees one of his players who's number 10 and he's like jumping over a thing, so it's like 10 Lords and it's like a weird like slow-mo of him like jumping, and
they're like heavy on it,
and it like plays the music for a second in the back. It's
See,
like,
at first I was excited, like, oh, that's very subtle. They don't usually do that in TV movies, like subtle. And I'm like, oh, never mind.
No, not subtle.
It's not subtle. That one's the most blatant, but the other ones are actually a little bit subtle. Because the first time I saw this movie, I saw that and I was like, oh, have they been doing that on every day? And I'm like, yeah, they probably have, and I just didn't really notice.
I guess they're like, we need to make sure they know by 10 so they can catch everything else.
Yeah.
On day 5, she goes by someone with a golden ring on each of his fingers.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, look at my hand.
It's
oh,
like
snap.
Thanos is like,
Yeah,
what's up?
Balancing Christmas
Right.
is not something I take lightly.
But it's cute. I liked it. It was fun. If you're like, it's this season, so if you're interested, I think it is streamed
Is there
on
a coffee
Netflix.
shop at some point? You know, they have to have a coffee shop in these Christmas romance movies. There's literally one called Coffee Shop.
Yeah, the conversation she has with her ex-boyfriend is in a coffee shop. For
Nice.
Sure. Yeah, they all are coffee oriented. Everyone drinks coffee in all these movies. They all love Christmas. Everyone's just obsessed with Christmas.
I'm here for the Thanksgiving movie.
So I'd give this
Shake
movie.
up.
I'd actually give it a 6.5 out of 10. I liked it a lot. As I said, the rules are really clean and it's just kind of fun. It's cute to watch them fall in love and to kind of watch her kind of branch out, meet new people, and kind of broaden her own world and accept people in her lives, which is something she really didn't do before. So that was nice. Yeah, all right, so...
So much for the mini episode.
Mini, in the sense of each of the movies themselves were minis?
Yeah.
Now you guys have plenty to listen to on your road trips to wherever you're going for your holiday destination.
Well,
And coming back
this
from...
will be after, yeah.
Oh.
Coming back from your holiday destinations.
Well, play it at your after Christmas party.
For sure.
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa.
Play it at your Kwanzaa party.
Yes. Okay, cool. So... Oh, the one thing I did want to mention, sorry, before I forget, in 12 Dates of Christmas, this guy Miles, who she has a blind date with, has 0 flaws. He's literally like, there's nothing wrong with him. Like, even when he, like, ditches her, it's because she, like, literally took a phone call from her ex during the date and is like, oh, yeah, I can come meet you in 15 minutes. And then she, like, hangs up and is, like, staring at the blind date guy and is like, I have to go. And she, like, ditches him and he's like, okay, bye. He like has morals, but like there's never any flaws with him, and that's something that really drives me crazy. So some of the points I docked were for that. Anyway, I just wanted to mention men aren't perfect. Who would have thought?
What?
So...
What?
Wow.
What? I need to speak with some people in the media about this.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's do overall final time travel reviews of our movies and just hearing about everyone else's movies too.
Do you want to do a separate rating for each one, or just like...
No, just a general overall rating, because all the rules are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's worth talking about them individually.
No,
just kind of take into account, I guess, the difference and average them out. I can go first if you guys need a minute.
Sure.
So I think overall, thinking about all the movies we did, as I said, like my movies, the rules were pretty solid and consistent. I think that's one nice thing is that usually with these movies, it's easy for the directors and writers to be consistent with when the loop comes back and that kind of thing. So I'm going to give these time travels, I think a 6 out of 10 as an average rating for all of them, time travel wise. Some of them do a few more interesting things, but in a general sense, it's just the main person learns a lesson, changes something, does something different, etc. And then eventually goes on to either live their life or not live their life, depending on the movie. And yeah, there's never, I think maybe something like Run, Lola, Run is maybe more interesting, but even that, it's not super time loopy, just a little bit. So yeah, 6 out of 10 for me. I think it's a good average.
At this point, this mechanic is a little obviously been used.
Played out a little.
Yeah. So, I can't really give it too high. But again, the rules are simple enough that, you can't really... I don't know. There are, like, obviously with 12 Day, Last Day of Summer, there's like, oh, someone's outside the loop, so in that terms of quote-unquote inconsistencies. But the mechanic of it is a little, I don't know. If you're going to do a time travel movie, don't use this mechanic anymore at this point, because everyone's been doing it, and Groundhog Day did it the best, and, so, I don't know. I'll probably have to end up at a 4, just because, some of them do it fine, and some of them, they do cool things with it, but at the end of the day, it's not that interesting to think about, really.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like, oh no, time to live the day over again. Like, other than these things we talked about, what else can you do with that, really?
I mean, I like the consequences of Happy Death Day, that, like, there were some physical consequences. That's something that none of these movies, none of the other movies do.
Right.
Their bodies just, quote-unquote, reset whatever changes. Like, even in 12 Dates of Christmas, she gets a tattoo at one point, and then life goes back and it's not there. So
Is it of a butterfly?
Actually, it might have been. Oh.
Well, she was in Butterfly Effect, so...
She was in Butterfly Effect. I don't remember what it was. It could have been a butterfly.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, the basic idea is a little tired.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess I don't know, 4 out of 10 because on average it's either mediocre or it's a little interesting, but not enough to make it higher than that for me. So
okay,
yeah, I'm gonna kind of go between you guys and give it like a 5 out of 10. I think when it's used nicely, it can be a great device or a really cool device. More often than not, it's used pretty poorly.
Yeah,
and so it's not. Happy Death Day actually makes a joke near the end of the movie where they're like, what you're doing right now reminds you of Groundhog Day. So they're very self-aware of like what they're doing. And of course the joke is the main character, she goes, what's Groundhog Day? It's like, you never seen Groundhog Day? And she's like, it's starring Bill Murray. He's like, who's Bill Murray? He's like, oh my gosh. She's like, what? I don't watch movies. And I was like, But at least it's self-aware that they are taking from Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Both movies I watched were also maybe some of the more unique takes on the Groundhog Day time loop one. So maybe that's softened my opinion on it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, people can do this pretty nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 out of 10.
Okay. Cool. So our next episode is Hyde's Choice.
Yeah. It's
you're doing
which one am I doing?
Kind of meta.
Oh, I'm doing Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. For those of you who don't know, you can follow me at Robinson is Hyde, which we'll talk about later. But yes, this is my government name. And it's a 2007 film from Disney, not Pixar, just regular old Disney. Mm-hmm. And it's basically, the spotlight is Lewis is a brilliant inventor who meets a mysterious stranger named Wilbur Robinson, whisking Lewis away in a time machine, and together they team up to track down Bowler Hat Guy in a showdown that ends with an unexpected twist of fate. That is a very weird synopsis.
Yeah.
But the movie's not bad. I've seen it before.
Has a time machine in it.
I've never heard of this before at all.
Really?
But, yeah.
I never saw it, but I've heard of it.
It does have a T-Rex in the poster, so.
It does have a T-Rex, and there is a very funny joke about T-Rex, which was used a lot in the trailer, and became kind of a meme before memes or things.
Angela Bassett's in this movie?
Yeah, she's one of the voices.
Oh, wow. Cool. All right, this will be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Something lighter, which will be kind of nice.
I mean, I might have seen a commercial for this, but honestly, it doesn't ring any bells.
It was a movie that did kind of come out and then just kind of disappeared, but it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So that'll be fun. So brush up on your Meet the Robinsons for our next episode, which will come out in 2018. Wow.
Woo!
Yeah.
New me.
Happy New Year. All right. So social media, we are at Time Travel Trio on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, we are on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher if you want to follow us on there. We're also on Facebook at the Time Travel Trio podcast. If you review us on iTunes, we will come up with a time travel plot based on your review and or your name that you put in there. So please send us those. We would appreciate it. Personal, I am at Jen Marlis on Twitter and on Instagram.
I'm at Foreman in Space on those.
And I'm at Robinson is Hyde.
And
with that,
we are out of
time.